Hello, writers. Hi, class. It is the beginning of week 7. It's Monday, November 7th. No, November 6th. And this week we'll be thinking about elements of dialogue and gesture, how characters speak to one another, and how, as writers, we can listen and apply some of the skills we've been practicing around detail and thinking small and remembering to observe and record what we see and what we hear and what happens between people. And I mentioned these elements of dialogue, gesture, scene, summary, musing, these craft elements, just because as you go forward in your writing lives, you'll need to think about them over the long term. And when you take other classes, you'll be discussing them. So you don't have to, get it or apply it all today, but just have it in your mind and know a little bit about what people are talking about when they talk about subtext and dialogue and all that stuff. So the LaPlante chapter is wonderful again and gives us great examples. You don't need to read the stories at the end if you don't want to. Reading as a writer, well, it's Hemingway, so you might want to. Page 356, reading as a writer, hills like white elephants, which is a great example of subtext in dialogue. But just continuing to think about how we can make our writing surprising and convincing. LaPlante writes, "From the moment we are born, language envelops us, instructs us. Right away, we begin the complex process of absorbing vocabulary, grammar, and meaning as communicated by the spoken word. Speech is integral to how we live, and not surprisingly, a critical part of how we communicate using the written word as well." So I hope you enjoy that. Reading Burls, great Bernard Cooper. It's a great piece of creative nonfiction in the Touchstone anthology, Burls. And as an example of some more dialogue, I'm going to read a little bit from Citizen. I think I've mentioned this book in the class so far. I love this book. And it explores the ways in which racism and erasing people, power struggles between people, the ways in which what we believe comes out, whether we want it to or not, in the way we speak to one another in different contexts. So it's just a terrific book. I'm going to read a little bit from it. "The rain this morning pours from the gutters, and everywhere else it is lost in the trees. You need your glasses to single out what you know is there. Because doubt is inexorable, you put on your glasses. The trees, their bark, their leaves, even the dead ones are more vibrant wet. Yes, and it's raining. Each moment is like this before it can be known, categorized as similar to another thing and dismissed. It has to be experienced, it has to be seen. Did he just say that? Did she really just say that? Did I hear what I think I heard? Did that just come out of my mouth, his mouth, your mouth? The moment stinks. Still, you want to stop looking at the trees. You want to walk out and stand among them. And as light as the rain seems, it still rains down on you." And let's see. It's little power struggles between people. Subtle and not so subtle. Here's another one. Now, she uses the second person throughout the book, the you, which really becomes an I in several ways throughout the book. "Because of your elite status from a year's worth of travel, you have already settled into your window seat on United Airlines. When the girl and her mother arrive at your row, the girl, looking over at you, tells her mother, 'These are our seats, but this is not what I expected.' The mother's response is barely audible. 'I see,' she says, 'I'll sit in the middle.' So what she's really saying is, I don't want to sit next to a black person on the plane, and I didn't expect to have to sit next to a black person when I'm in special seating. Elite status. And then one more example from citizen Claudia Rankin. A woman you do not know wants to join you for lunch. You are visiting her campus. In the cafe, you both order the Caesar salad. The overlap is not the beginning of anything, because she immediately points out that she, her father, her grandfather, and you all attended the same college. She wanted her son to go there as well, but because of affirmative action or minority something, she is not sure what they're calling it these days, and weren't they supposed to get rid of it, her son wasn't accepted. You are not sure if you are meant to apologize for this failure of your alma mater's legacy program. Instead, you ask where he ended up. The prestigious school she mentions doesn't seem to assuage her irritation. This exchange, in effect, ends your lunch. The salads arrive. All right. So keep up the great work. I'll be in the Zoom again on Wednesday at 5, and we can talk about, I'd love it if people would be willing to read their work again. I thought that was such a great thing to do together in Zoom. So please show up then, and would love to hear you read. And I'll bring an example of dialogue that we can look at and talk about as well. Dialogue and gesture. Okay. See you later.